Hello, everybody. My name is Josiah Ludwig, and I'm the Program Director with Brethren Community Ministries and BCMPEACE. And this evening, I'm joined by Pastor Belita Mitchell, who is a board member of BCMPEACE, as well as the pastor of Harrisburg First Church of the Brethren. And we're very happy to have Isabel Blumenthal with us, who is the market manager of the South Allison Hill Farmers Market. We're going to talk just a little bit about the market and about what a healthy community would look like, and just sort of our thoughts on that subject. So thanks for joining us, Isabel. Pastor, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So Isabel, I guess the first question I have is just tell us a little bit about the farmers market. How did it come to be? Where is it? How can people get involved with it?
Mm-hmm. Of course. So the Allison Hill Farmers Market was just implemented a few weeks ago. It started on June 10th of 2020, but it was an idea that is rooted back quite a few months, maybe even a few years. And it was raised by community members. They were interested in a local food hub where they could acquire nutritional, healthy produce and products because there's not a grocery store nearby. And a steering committee was formed as a part of Tri-County Community Action in February of 2019, I believe. Yeah, February of 2019. And I began working with Tri-County Community Action in September of 2019. And like I said earlier, the farmers market was implemented in June of 2020. But mainly it addresses food insecurity throughout the neighborhood. As I said earlier, the lack of access to healthy, local, equitable produce, fruits and vegetables, and whatnot. So yeah.
Awesome, very cool. And we were wondering a little bit about where are these vendors coming from? How many vendors do you have? What sorts of things are available from week to week?
Of course, yeah, and that's another huge aspect of our mission is to create a place of revenue, a source of revenue for local growers. So the majority of our vendors are actually like gardeners, urban growers within the Harrisburg community, some even within the Allison Hill neighborhood. A few are larger farms, so they're located outside of the city, but still within a 30-minute distance from the farmers market. And right now we have about 8 vendors that rotate in and out, but typically each week we have 5 that are pretty consistent that come every week.
Very cool. And are you continuing to look for more partners? Are you at capacity? How is that working?
Yeah, so the space right now, we are in the heart of the community garden on Dairy Street. I'm not sure if I said that earlier, but that garden area is somewhat small. So we are looking to expand, possibly using like the sidewalk on the neighboring streets, if possible. But of course, we're always looking for more vendors. I'm looking for a baker, some sort of a bakery vendor, as well as meat and more fruits and vegetables if possible.
Okay. And what days and times is the market open and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's on Wednesdays from 3 to 7 p.m. and it occurs weekly throughout the summer. And I assume that it will continue until October, but ultimately that will be a decision made at that time once the vendors aren't able to provide enough product for the market.
And it's only been open for several weeks so far, is that correct?
Yep, 3 weeks.
Okay. And how has that, is word getting around? Are people finding out about it? How is that?
Yeah, the first 2 weeks were really great. The second week, especially, we saw a major spike in sales, which was wonderful to see. Unfortunately, last week, I believe because it was the end of the month, our sales dropped a little bit. So for tomorrow, I'm going to do a lot of neighborhood outreach, walking around, handing out flyers and brochures. But word is slowly getting out, and we have been posting a bit on social media as well.
Okay. And if people are excited about this idea and want to get involved in any way, is there something that they can do to, kind of support what you all are doing there?
Of course. Well, the first way to get involved is to shop at the farmers market. And then if you're looking to help out more, you can volunteer. That's all on Tri-County Community Actions page, a little button for the farmers market where you click sign up to volunteer. And also people just sometimes swing by and give us donations, and we are totally accepting of those as well. So.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Pastor, do you have any questions for Isabel?
No, she's done a very good job giving us the overview of what's going on, going forward to what they expect will happen, and some history as to what has already taken place. So thanks for that information, Isabel.
Of course. Thank you.
So something I'd like to just kind of discuss between the three of us is just a pretty broad question, which is what is your idea of a healthy community? What is your idea of a healthy community? What do you think about that general broad question, Isabel? What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, when I think of a healthy community, I mean, of course, I'm a farmers market manager, so I think of access and affordability of local and fresh food. I also think of, municipalities and the government providing funding, proper funding for a neighborhood, because I've definitely seen that in Allison Hill, like regarding trash pickup and whatnot. And furthermore, education. I think education is a huge factor, and easy access to good education is extremely important for a healthy community as well.
Mm-hmm. Pastor, what do you think about that?
I think Isabel has done a very good job of capturing all of my thoughts on a healthy community. And the last point that you made, Isabel, for me is especially important because as relates, for example, to the farmers market, there are a lot of people who are not even aware of all of the aspects of good nutrition and who have not had enough exposure or opportunity to take advantage of good fresh fruits and vegetables. So they don't even know what they are or how to prepare them, you know? So I view a healthy community as being one that is able to supply meet those kinds of needs to the people in the community, and one that is connected because of all of the services and benefits that are available. And so I think it's really terrific that we have this opportunity now to take advantage of the farmers market that's just recently been opened and gives people the opportunity to connect. I noticed in one of your advertisements that you're also planning to do other things aside from selling fruits and vegetables, but also creating some community space and giving people an opportunity to connect. And I think that that's also a part of what a healthy community is all about.
Yeah, Pastor, that's sort of where I was headed. I think everything that both of you shared is, for me, like the healthy community has to do with people being together and relating to one another. And when we're out of our homes and we know each other, then we can know what it is that my neighbor needs, or my neighbor knows what I need, and we can help each other out in those ways depending on what those needs are. And I do think, having a farmer's market, here in the community, right, down the street from where I live is a really exciting thing because it does provide for that nutrition stuff that we're talking about. But even if it only provides a space for people to come together, it's doing something that's really important. So outside of farmers markets and this specific endeavor we're talking about, what can we do as like community members to help to foster or help to create a community that's healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Again, dovetailing on the idea of education, I don't know if Isabel is aware of this or not, but we do have a community garden. The church has a community garden, yes. And part of what we've tried to do through our community garden is that education piece with the children who are participating in our community ministry programs. Last year, we had them plant and harvest potatoes, and we were actually able to use those harvested potatoes in one of our fellowship meals and had a baked potato bar. And because of COVID-19, we haven't had the same degree of activity.
Right.
But we do have the garden planted, and it is our plan again to include the children as a part of the harvesting activity. And a part of our plan has also been to not only just create space where we can grow vegetables and have food, but also that we can add to the aesthetics of the space. And so we've been planting flowers and showing the kids how to cut the flowers and to arrange them to make beautiful, accessories to their environments at home. And I think that every farmer's market should have some flowers. So maybe we can bring some flowers to your farmer's market if you don't have any.
Certainly. We do have some, but I mean, we'll always take more for sure.
I think something that's cool about what Pastor was talking about there is also like the connecting of generations, because a lot of the folks who end up working in our particular community garden are, we'll say, more experienced people. And then them working with the children, it's just a natural way of passing on knowledge from one generation to another. And I think that's another piece that we can do as community members, is to come up with ways where that would naturally occur, setting up those sorts of relationships where the more experienced generation can pass on some of that knowledge to the younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
What's something else that we haven't mentioned, Isabel, or if you have something similar?
Yeah, so like just ways to create a healthy community, kind of separate from, the farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are many ways, and they are dependent upon each other as well. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, at least within the Allison Hill neighborhood, is the Hamilton Health Center. I mean, having that health center right there is incredible, I feel. And having spoken with some of the individuals that work there, what the work that they do is really amazing. And I think that, just really, fighting and speaking up to like have a space such as that in your own neighborhood is
Mm-hmm.
extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you mentioned like speaking up and that kind of thing. And that was the last question that Alyssa gave me for us to discuss is, with some of like the civil injustices, systemic injustices that are really being spoken about these days, and often also as we're here in the midst of COVID-19, like how is the environment that we're going through right now, how is that having an impact, either positive or negative, on the health of our community right now?
Mm-hmm. I mean, as difficult as times are right now, I think that it is having a positive impact. I think that people are starting to understand, and they're starting to want to understand these terrible inequities that are rooted in, frankly, the government within the United States with this systemic structure. And it relates to every aspect of a healthy community, as we've been talking about. I mean, many people don't think about it in relation to healthy food access, but it is totally related. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most of the communities that do not have affordable and accessible access to healthy, nutritious, equitable food are marginalized communities.
Yeah.
And that goes along with their communities that are kind of overlooked by their local government, in fact, the federal government. And so I do feel as though the current state, I suppose I'll say, is bringing to light these inequities in order for people to really contribute themselves to positive change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been noticing, just as a resident of Allison Hill too, just how people seem to be more connected in these times. We're all going through the COVID thing, but also, the protests downtown and all the different, just people that wouldn't necessarily stop and say, hey, like even just walk into church, people are greeting each other, and it kind of does feel like this whole, like we're all in this together sort of mentality. So, I mean, if anything good is coming out of this difficult time, it's some of that connection, and just people like myself recognizing that, you know, it's been like this for a long time. It's not just like a new thing, you know, that that people have been fighting their whole lives to have a voice and to seek change. And so on some level, it's okay. Well, what are we going to do now? You know, and I don't know if you have anything to speak into any of that, Pastor Belita.
Well, I think it's one of those kind of situations whereby once the cow is out of the barn and way out into the pasture, it's hard to reel it back in. And I think we're at that point of no return now where we got to do something. And more people are aware of the fact that there's a lot that needs to be done. And so it gives us a great opportunity to work together. I think the conversation that we're having now is an important one, because just like when the World Council of Churches promoted the decade to overcome violence, and people began the conversation about violence and discovered that there were so many different ways that violence could be done to people without even being recognized as being violence. I think that a healthy community, there's so many layers to what it takes to be a healthy community. We're just scratching the surface, but it is very important work to be done. And those of us who are involved in it need to make sure that we don't let people forget, and we help to enlighten them as to all those different ways in which you can build a healthy community.
Yeah, amen to all that. Yeah, so I think this has been time well spent, and I'm really excited to see what happens specifically with the farmers market, Isabel, as it continues. And, you know, as we continue in this season, I hope that everybody in our community can kind of take advantage of these times to, you know, empower one another, to be strong for one another, and to hear each other's voices, to take time to listen, and to have conversations like this too. I think it's all you know, going to lead to some change, ideally. And so thank you guys so much for your time. And
before we go, Josiah,
yes,
can we
Pastor.
put some emphasis on the fact that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the farmers market is following CDC guidelines, and we will be expecting that people will come with facial masks and that they will maintain practice social distancing while they come to the farmers market. Is that right, Isabel?
Yes, thank you so much for mentioning that. Even though Dauphin County is in the green phase, I think we're starting to see cases starting to rise slightly again. So we're being even more cautious, and it's extremely important that everyone comes wearing a mask. And if you don't have a mask, we do have them for you at the end.
That's good to hear. And we want to remind people that green means that we're able to go, but we need to take it slow, and we need to remember all of the things that we've been practicing while we were still in lockdown, so that we don't have to go back.
That's right.
Exactly.
We don't want to go backwards. We want to keep moving forward.
That's right.
So thanks for your time. It's been a great opportunity to get to know you and to hear more about the market. And I hope that maybe I'll be able to come and spend a nickel or a dime before it's too late.
Well, the prices sure are very cheap. I think all of the vendors are just looking to give back. So
yeah, it's really great. And so we want to encourage anybody who is viewing this or who hears our voices to come and support the South Allison Hill Farmers Market every Wednesday. What's the times again?
3 to 7 p.m.
3 to 7. Come with your masks. Come and just be a part of something awesome that's happening. You wanted to say one more thing, Isabel?
Yeah, it's also located at the heart of the community garden on 1421 Dairy Street.
Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to
1421 Dairy. And if you know the neighborhood at all, it's the one with that mural on the wall with a lot of our community members that are there. So, sorry, did I talk over you,
I was going to say,
Pastor?
if you're short on cash and you have an access card, they do accept the access card. Is that correct, Isabel?
Oh my goodness, yes, I didn't even touch on that. That's huge.
Wow.
We accept SNAP benefits, and we also offer a SNAP matching program. So all SNAP benefits are actually doubled in however much a customer decides to spend, up to $10. So if they spend $10 with their SNAP EBT card, they're getting $20 in market tokens.
That's incredible.
So
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm understanding what you just said. If
Mhm.
I bring my SNAP card and I spend $10 on my SNAP card, I can actually get $20 worth of merchandise?
Yes, which will buy you so much at that market because, like I said, everything is priced from like $1 to $3. It's
Mm.
That
really
sounds
incredible.
fantastic. You
Yeah.
make sure you put that on your flyer when you
I would put
spread the
that real
word.
big at the top.
Yes, okay,
I
very
know
good.
we need a separate flyer for it actually.
Fantastic. All
Mhm.
right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to seeing you some Wednesday in the near future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. And I accept any opportunity to talk about not only the market, but a healthy community because it's so, so important.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.